Yes, y'all. Sugar be all.
I like this right here.
Hello and welcome to Style Amplified. I'm your host, Gyasi Williams, and today we have the pleasure of sitting here with Dr. Umar Abdullah Johnson. Dr. Johnson is a nationally certified school psychologist, an educator, as well as lecturer, and Dr. Johnson is also the author of a book called Psycho-Academic Holocaust. How you doing today, Mr.
Peace
Johnson?
and love, brother. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So before we get started, I just wanted to kind of touch on, for the people out there that don't know you, can you tell them a little bit about yourself as far as who is Dr. Umar Johnson?
Sure. Dr. Umar Johnson is a school psychologist with a doctorate in clinical psychology.
Okay.
I evaluate children in the schools. My job is to decide who goes into special education. So I'm an educational diagnostician. I decide who's learning disabled, autistic, emotionally disturbed, intellectually deficient. I also determine who goes into special education for disruptive behavior disorders, which include but are not limited to ADHD, which I refer to as ain't no daddy at home disorder. I'm on a personal crusade to do all I can to keep our young black brothers out of special education, which is nothing more than a highway, a speedway to prison, and away from ADHD diagnosis, which is nothing more than marginalization, and ultimately distanced away from the psychiatric medication, which can lead to a premature mental extermination. The side effects of those drugs are horrendous, but unfortunately a lot of parents have our children, our boys in particular, on these dangerous psychiatric medications. I like to say that I'm running an underground railroad, literally an underground railroad, to see how many brothers I can jailbreak out of special ed, jailbreak out of ADHD, and jailbreak out of psychiatric medication prescriptions.
Okay. He said ADHD, ain't no daddy at home.
Ain't no daddy at home disorder. 75% of black boys diagnosed with ADHD don't have fathers. So is this really about psychiatry, or is this about the war on black men?
Wow. And you know what? We heard you speak today.
Yes.
And we just came out of a roundtable discussion. And this is my first time actually meeting you, and I saw a few of your things online.
Okay.
And one of the things that touched on me, and this is outside of our questions, but I felt the need to ask
No problem.
you talked about how a lot of men aren't using their hands anymore, young boys.
Yes.
And you were talking about in a public school system how those things are kind of out.
Yes.
Where, you know, those trades, and it kind of touched home with me because I remember going to school and we had shop class. And we had automotive. I mean, we can even learn how to fix a bike, a motorcycle. So can you speak a little bit on, elaborate on why those things are not there for our kids anymore?
Definitely. One of the reasons that the trade programs have been stripped from high schools in predominantly African-American neighborhoods is to help speed up the war against black men. The war against black men operates through economic castration. So if a brother isn't able to find a job, that automatically dictates that he's going to have to do something illegal to provide for his family. So by stripping the high schools in urban America of their trade programs, you effectively prevent black men from earning a decent living doing something other than going to college. So by taking out auto shop, bake shop, plumbing shop, electrical shop, builder shop, all these are shops that you had, I had in school, but they started taking them out beginning in the 80s, and definitely by the end of the 90s, there were almost no trade programs left in America's high school except barbering and cosmetology. You know, but all those other trades they took from our brothers, and now they're telling everybody that you have to go to college. Well, guess what? That's also a setup, because if you don't have a certain SAT score and a certain grade point average, you're not going to get into college. But working with your hands, you didn't necessarily have to take the SAT at all. You didn't have to take the ACT at all. All you needed was a high school diploma, or even a GED was enough to get you a seat in a trade skills program. In 2 years, only 2, not 4, but only 2 years, you come out of a trade program and you're able to work with your hands, working for yourself, joining a union, starting your own business, or working for someone else. The trades were a very effective way for black men to keep a roof over their family's head and food in their stomach. But in taking away the trades, you opened up a vacuum of unemployment, which led straight to the prison.
Wow, that's powerful, people. And you know, I had another question for you as well that kind of touches on that. I remember when I graduated high school, and speaking on college isn't for everyone, I remember when I graduated from high school, we all went into an auditorium, and they kind of wanted to get you to stand up and say where you were going to school. And you know, people were standing up. I'm going to VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University. I'm going to Old Dominion. I'm going to UNC. And there was a young brother in there who said, you know what, I think I just want to be an electrician. And it was, through our group, looked at like, why are you not going to college? You know, but what's funny with everything that happened in our economy now, you know, he got the last laugh.
Yes, he did.
Because we ran across that brother, and when other people are on a 6th and 7th career opportunity, let's say, he's still an electrician, making more than probably the majority of those people in the room. So those skilled trades that we had in our high school is what inspired him to be an electrician. So that's an excellent point. I grew up with the Cosby Show on TV, where you had Bill Cosby, a doctor. You had Felicia Rashad, his wife was a lawyer, and I grew up part of that percentage you mentioned where there wasn't a father in the household. So in part, looking back on it, those were somewhat of the things that I looked up to, so to speak. So in today's society and the images we have now, with the so-called, I guess you call it the ratchet phenomenon, you hear that? Can you explain a little bit how we go from those images, even though they were little and far in between, at least I can say I had them on TV, to what we see now?
Well, one of the things that's very important for any society to do when they're trying to eliminate or exterminate any given population in that society is to assassinate their image in the public mind and assassinate their image in their own mind. The purpose of assassinating a people's image in the public mind is so that when you begin the physical extermination, no one will speak up for the exterminated group, because you have already educated the public to believe that they're not necessary. So you kill their image through magazines, music, and movies, and so by the time the killing starts on the street, no one cares that black men are being murdered, because they've already been effectively propagandized into believing that they're better off without them. You kill the image of the victim in their own mind, so that they begin to suffer from the internalized hatred that you have projected onto them. So now I'm not going to fight back against the racism that's happening to me, because on a certain level I actually believe that I deserve it. So if you kill my belief in myself by feeding me negative images about myself, I'm less likely to push back, because I don't even think it's possible for me to overcome your campaign against me. But in you educating the public, you effectively silence any opposition to what you're about to do by killing me and other black men, because you have already made it clear through your music, through your movies, through your magazines, that America would be better off without black men. So they're killing their images in Hollywood as a prelude to killing the physical bodies of black men. And I predict that once President Obama is out of office, I'm hoping I'm wrong, but based on my study of political science and history, when he's gone, I think the carnage against black people is going to be intensified even more than it already is.
So not picked up where it left off, but it's actually going to increase.
Yes, it's going to increase.
What do you feel are some of the biggest misconceptions people have about Dr. Umar Johnson after they hear you speak?
What I hear from people a lot of times is that before they meet me, they think I'm this ultra serious brother who never smiles, never has a down-to-earth conversation, never talks about anything other than the political economy of black people. So I think they feel, when they meet me, they find out that I have a comic side, you know, that I'm a down-to-earth brother. I like to have fun and enjoy the things that any other brother or sister, you know, would like to enjoy. That's one. I think, two, there's the assumption that I harbor prejudiced views or biased views against white people because my approach is so direct. They say, well, you must hate white people. No, I don't. In fact, I have excellent conversation with white people. They know exactly what I stand for, but because they understand that I don't want in their reality, we're able to get along better than what those white people would get along with if I was an integrationist. So there's a degree of respect there, because most blacks are integrationists. So when they find a brother who don't want nothing you got, I want to just get my own, but I don't want you stopping me from getting my own, there's a level of respect there. So the assumption that I'm a racist, which I can't be anyway, because racism is a system of oppression that's enacted by one group against another. So there's really no such thing as individual racism. Okay, but for the way in which our people and other people determine it, they assume that I'm racist, they assume that I'm very serious, they also assume sometimes that I can't take alternative views until they meet with me. I'm very open to dialogue and discussion, because I know that the paralysis of analysis is killing black people. So if I know that the paralysis of analysis is killing black people, I have to allow for views that I don't agree with. Even here with the meeting of the minds, sometimes you hear things that you say that's way off base, but that's still that person's opinion, and we have to validate it. We got to respect everyone's opinion. In fact, I believe that if you stand on truth, no matter how many opposing views are going to be shared within that context, sooner or later the cream is going to rise to the top anyway. So why be afraid of people who differ in your position? Why be afraid to allow their particular perspective an opportunity for expression?
Because the truth is constant.
The truth is constant. It cannot be hidden. It cannot be hidden.
I agree. So lastly here, we're going to wrap up. So here's Style Amplified. We kind of have this thing where we say everyday people, everyday life with style. So that means with your fashion sense, and I've seen you on YouTube, you put it together well,
yes,
my brother. I've seen a few suit ensembles on there.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, in your own personal opinion, why don't you just look in the camera and tell people what the style mean to you?
Style means a lot. Style is about spirit. Style is about culture. Style is about one's unique individual expression. Style is more than the clothing. It's the message that the clothing conveys. It's about the message that wearing your hair conveys. I think that style can be a very subtle weapon to express the way we feel physically and in our personification and presentation without saying it out of your mouth. For example, if I have to go amongst a certain group of Europeans or a certain group of Africans where I know I can't necessarily say what I feel, I'll just wear it. If I walk in here with a certain t-shirt, that automatically lets them know that you think a certain way. You got on a certain bracelet, that automatically lets them know what you're thinking. I think we have to improve our ability to communicate non-verbally so you can never be held to saying anything that can be used against you, but you already spoke through your presentation.
You heard me when I walked in the room. So again, I appreciate your time.
It's an honor, brother. Yes, sir.
This concludes this episode of Style Amplified. I'm your host, Gyasi Williams. Until next time, everyday people, everyday life with a little bit of style.